Reaching low so that we may be one through the cross. Good afternoon. With the main news, I'm Justina Matandiko Mukoka. The headlines: 700 endemic bird species migrate from Zambia to Zimbabwe. Residents of Chimwewe in Kitwe reject the Self Community Center, and Rachel Kundananji happy to score her first goal for Spanish club SD Eibar. And now the main news in detail. Center for Environment Justice CEJ says the Mutulanganga Bird Sanctuary is under threat as 700 endemic bird species have migrated from Zambia to Zimbabwe because the sanctuary is not conducive. The organization says the birds have moved from Zambia's fifth largest important bird area, IBA, between Chirundu and Siabunga to neighboring Zimbabwe. CEJ Executive Director Magi Mwapena wants government to support the restoration of the Mutulunganga IBA, which she says is dominated by the majestic Mopani tree, whose raw form is now on high demand. She spoke during a tour of the sanctuary in the company of Chief Chipepo of the Tonga people of Chirundu and Siabunga.
For them, they are willing to engage into other activities only if they could be provided, because this is their major source of income. And I totally agree as well, because if you're not having any other source of income, whatever that you think can be done, and in this case, selling of the trees, charcoal production is their major source of income. So communities are very much willing should we provide alternatives for them.
And Chief Chipepo said he was ready to work towards restoring the sanctuary, as it was an elephant corridor with bird species of international repute. The traditional leader, who is also Forum for African Traditional Leaders Chief Whip, explained that the bird sanctuary, which was protected during the reigns of Kaunda government, Chiluba and Mwanawasa, was invaded in 2010.
Our president now is a member of that board of climate change. World Board of Climate Change. I'm very, very much prepared, Your Excellency. Please. I beg you, let us work together to conserve these trees, to conserve those birds which have been coming. This is an elephant corridor. A lot of hundreds and hundreds of elephants will be crossing from Zimbabwe, go up to Mazabuka, and then come back again. And they are no longer doing like that because the trees are finished.
This is according to a press statement made available by Center for Environment Justice CEJ media team. An environmental expert, Brian Chirambo, says upward adjustment in electricity tariffs will increase the demand for charcoal, and Mr. Chirambo has said it is unrealistic to call for the ban of charcoal production and at the same time pushing to increase electricity tariffs. Reports indicate that there may be increase in electricity tariffs amidst calls to ban charcoal production, which is the main source of energy for people with lower income and for those in rural areas. Speaking to Radio Ichengelo this morning, Mr. Chirambo says government should encourage sustainable production of charcoal.
Very urban areas are dependent on charcoal production and the source of revenue. If you increase electricity, and then on the other hand, you're saying you're burning charcoal, charcoal production, you want to instill a ban, you are actually not being realistic. You are living out of this world. What we must be talking about is how can we produce charcoal in a sustainable manner, not completely eradicating.
National access to electricity averages at 31%, with 67% of the urban and 4% of the rural population having access to power. Government set a goal for universal electricity access for all Zambians by 2030. Residents of Lubuto Ward in Kitwe's Chimama area have expressed concern over alleged reports that the community center will be sold. Speaking to Radio Ichengelo News, the residents who gathered at the Lubuto Community Center said they were surprised to see that the center was among properties that have been put on lease in an advert put up by Kitwe City Council. The residents who narrated how they used to utilize the center for various community activities years back said they would like it to be revamped for the future generation. Others challenged the local authority not to lease off the property for financial gain, but but instead prioritize the concerns of the community, which is to turn the property into a skills training center.
Because if you watch it today, my businessmen number analyze what to get done. The vice up my businessmen, okay, like station by the side. In the community center, here, Abakalambagene, Naganamayu, Rosikuba, Balasta benefit. Asante Kabaya Jabala, we savage Kubanga, Kubasamisha Pika, Kumila, Abashwa Kalamabata. And the Tuamaka Sat to Ulanda, Plasan, Tilava, Nivana, Kulamans, Tabaco to Kwakubat Vasa Consideration. Come to Takwala facilities there, but to accept bala posera kwishita ante kuposishita baisasambira kufimo fyabana bayishiba amaga chakula chinchende twa bavule bapere munye aba kukwebo nishi twa fafirumba nishi nabana ngene taparisho tunyalile kubati okutunga basontera okubati baye babanga lirena ngwapose kwishita.
But the Waterward councillor Peter Kapikila argued that the local authority was not selling the property in question, but the council wants to partner with other stakeholders in revamping the facility. Spruceland Technologies Group Limited has commenced the training of students in weighbridge operation, certification and accreditation in partnership with Ndola's Northern Technical College, NOTEC. This is the first formal training in weighbridge operation to be done in Zambia, as most weighbridge operators acquired the skill through job-on training. Spruceland Technologies Group Chief Executive Officer Dingiswayo Piri said having formally trained weighbridge operators in Zambia would improve professionalism at weighbridges. Mr. Piri has told Radio Ichengele News and Ndola that in the near future, Spruceland Technologies Group targets to train over 1,000 people in weighbridge operation, certification and accreditation.
You know, a lot goes on weighbridges, huge transactions happen on weighbridges. When you hear, for instance, tonnages being declared, just know that those tonnages pass through a weighbridge. And so it's very important that the staff that you have working on weighbridges are knowledgeable. You avoid fraud, you avoid stealing and stuff like that. And so in our program, we are ensuring that we train our people that are knowledgeable, that then they can, the customers whoever has weighbridges are maximizing on their profits. And so it's very important to have people that are trained in this field.
Some weighbridge operation students interviewed by Radio Ichengele News at NOTEC this morning said they were excited to be among the first people being formally trained in Zambia.
It's a good feeling because we are going to get first-hand information on how best we can operate the weighbridges. Of course, we were just picked from different departments, and then we start operating the weighbridge from any know-how, weights, or basic accountancy or some sort. But this training has come to equip us with the knowledge basically for weighbridge operators. It's a good one. I'm so excited about it. Firstly, the reason why I'm excited is because it's kind of related to what I'm studying, analytical balancing, weighing. So it's exciting to me, and it is an opportunity that I just needed to take.
The Zambia Weights and Measures Agency ZMA is monitoring the training regarding standards, compliance, and accreditation at NORTEC. In sports, the Zambia national women's team striker Rachel Kundananji is delighted to score her first goal for Spanish club SD Eibar. Kundananji scored a last-minute goal for SD Eibar in their 1-0 win over Rayo Vallecano in the Premier Division match in Spain on Sunday. Speaking to Radio Ichengela Sports by phone from Spain, Kundananji said she is expecting to score more goals for Eibar. The speedy forward described the Spanish Women's League as competitive.
Nimfabuno sana kuingisha, otherwise narerekisha hapa kuingisha na itepo games aingi without kuingisha, but then isaingisha important go. So nalimfabuno sana, and this Spanish league is very competitive compared to the previous leagues that I've played. This one is very competitive, and I'm expecting to do the best, like to score more goals and do my best.
This news broadcast comes during the community service of Radio Ichengelo with compliments of Moose Milling. And now, international news as monitored from the BBC.
The man accused of setting fire to South Africa's parliament earlier this month is facing an additional charge of terrorism after being accused of detonating an explosive device. Zandile Mafe has already been charged with arson, theft, housebreaking, and possession of explosives. The United Nations has warned that a humanitarian disaster is unfolding in Afghanistan, with more than half of the population struggling to find enough to eat. Foreign aid, which funded 3/4 of Afghanistan's public services, has mostly dried up since the militant group's takeover in August. The UN High Commissioner for Refugees, Filippo Grandi, said Afghanistan needed $5 billion in aid to avoid the country's collapse.
The conflict between the Taliban and the previous government is over, and that has opened up some space of security, which I think we need to take advantage of. But to do that, we need those resources that are part of this appeal. The key here is to stabilize the situation inside Afghanistan, including that of displaced people who are displaced inside their country.
North Korea has fired a suspected ballistic missile into the sea less than a week after testing what it said was a hypersonic weapon. The latest launch has been criticized by South Korea and the Prime Minister of Japan, Fumio Kishida, who described it as extremely regrettable. From Tokyo, here's Rupert Wingfield Hayes.
North Korea's missile test serves several functions. One could be to divert public attention from an increasingly severe economic situation in the country brought on by the COVID pandemic. Another could be to get the attention of the Biden administration, which has shown little interest in resuming negotiations with Pyongyang after the failed summit between former President Trump and Kim Jong-un in 2019. There is a third reason. North and South Korea are engaged in what observers say is an increasingly intense arms race. Both sides are working to perfect smaller and more deadly missile systems.
And that item brings us to the end of our main news. We take a look at the headlines once again. 700 endemic bird species migrate from Zambia to Zimbabwe. Residents of Chimwemwe and Kitso rejected the sale of community center, and Rachel Kundananji happy to score her first goal for Spanish club SD Eibar. Friends, for this and more stories, you can visit our Facebook page. Log on to Facebook and like the Radio Ichengelo page and link to radioichengelo.radio12345.com. Remember to play your part in the fight against the coronavirus pandemic by ensuring that you follow the laid down guidelines as described by the Ministry of Health and the World Health Organization. Wash your hands frequently for at least 20 seconds. Remember to wear a mask when in public and avoid unnecessary movements. Maintain social distance. And if you can, take the vaccine. And on behalf of the entire news team, Constance Kalunga, sound technician on duty, my name is Justina Matandiko Nkuka. Wishing you a wonderful afternoon.